are getting there. Oi. Check, check, check. It is Sunday, May the 5th, 2024. And we are having another episode of Drawing the Inky Way. I want to try and do this like little series right here where I just kind of like get on and draw and get off. Like a lot of times I get on and I draw and I talk a lot. And I'm trying to make it where I just kind of get on and focus on the art itself. Still will be talking, but you know, not as much. What up? What up? How you doing, man? Welcome in. So this particular episode, which I actually should have put it in the title, is going to be me drawing Ninja Turtles. Because it was requested. And I never actually drew the Ninja Turtles before. So I kind of want to... I started off by drawing the composition. Because I hate sitting trying to figure out the composition on stream. If I know, I know. But if I don't, I'm kind of always like, you know, like I don't like this. And it's a very boring part of the stream for people to watch. I know a lot of people like to see it, which is why I have time lapses. But I don't think I should make people get subject to sitting there watching me scratch my head and figure out whether or not I want to do this or do that. With that being said, guys, we're going to jump right into it because I don't really want to waste a lot of time like BSing around like I usually do. So, yeah, I am still working on the composition. I pretty much got it kind of the way that I want. I know you can't really see because it's light. My composition's always light. But I think I have the turtles in the poses that I want. I'm not going to have them that far apart. I'm about to. It's on it is on a 13 by 19 sheet, and I'm going to adjust the characters to the sizes that I want them. Now that I have them sketched in the way that I want, and then we will just kind of build them from there. I just want to make sure that I had the poses the way that I wanted before I kind of jumped in and started moving them around. I also drew them on all separate layers so that I can move them around the way that I want it. Since this is going to be the point where I start putting in like more detail and stuff like that. I think the hardest thing for me is is when I get into the drawing, I always feel like I get sucked into not being able to figure out where I want everything. So I decided for myself to start pre-doing the composition and getting the quick sketches down, and then just kind of figuring out how I want it from there. And as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any specific things you'd like to see me draw, you can always leave them in the comments. See, these are overlapping, but like once I get the composition the way that I want it, I will be like erasing all the excess stuff that I don't want. I am kind of proud of the poses that I picked, because at first I was kind of like, the biggest thing with Ninja Turtles is you can always, I mean, like, there's 4 of them, so the poses have to be a specific way or it just kind of looks off. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people don't really put, like, I've seen a lot of good Ninja Turtle drawings that just kind of like feel like they missed the mark because they don't have the composition is kind of off. kind of feel like I want this to. I know I want him in the back to be kind of bigger. Absolutely. I always put the staff wielding turtle in the back because I don't really care too much for him. How's my day going so far? Yeah, it's going, man. It's chilling. I mean, I just woke up, got out of the shower, and here I am. It's not. It hasn't really. I guess it hasn't really started yet. But I mean, it's going good. It's funny because I got asked to draw this, and when I got asked to draw it, I was kind of like, I've never drawn Ninja Turtles before. Like, never. I think I've drawn a Ninja Turtle face, but I don't know why I've never actually really drawn a Ninja Turtle before. I don't think there was any real reason behind it. I just never did. I think I like it like this, but I don't want. I want it to look like this, but I don't want it to be so close. Just don't race quit about what? Like, why would I rage quit? Why would I rage quit? I mean, for the most part, the composition is done. I mean, I'm kind of making sure that it's balanced the way that I want it, but for the most part, yeah, it's. I guess I could make him go a little higher, maybe. See, I don't want to make him go too high because his fucking his like sword is in this dude's neck. Gonna block his face. Leo is my favorite character, but everybody always puts Leo in the front. Have another shark eating it. I can draw Ninja Turtles. Plus, in my infinite wisdom stage of my life, I understand that if I don't know how to draw something, I just go learn how to draw it. Like my ego arc of the past is gone. Back then I used to be like, if I don't know how to draw it, I'm not gonna tell anybody I don't know how to draw it because I'm the best, but I wasn't, you know. I'm assuming I'm gonna probably bring this down. I like the way it's together, but I want more of them in the picture. I don't really need it, I guess. A part of me wants to extend the image, but not really. Is one going to be eating what? Pizza? No. Nah, no pizza, man. I'm actually doing a genuinely good Ninja Turtle drawing, not the gimmicky. So the original Ninja Turtles, fun fact, were a D&D game. It was a D&D book. All the Ninja Turtles had the same headbands, and they were anti-heroes. They weren't really actually like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The whole pizza thing and all that stuff, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I grew up on it. But I'm more enticed by like the mutant part of it. You know, like mutated turtles, ninja fighting, whatever you want to call it. But again, I've never really drawn a Ninja Turtle before. This will 100% be my first time. Like drawing a Ninja Turtle piece. But I think I'm going to roll with this. I think I'm going to roll with this as the composition. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit of the lines because I'm going to go in drawing more anyways. But I don't want any confusion in what I'm drawing. And I do get confused a lot. So yeah, for the most part, it's going to look like that. Now that I have the composition, but pizza is iconic with the Ninja Turtles, it's not that iconic. There will be no pizza. It's not that iconic. You know why the Ninja Turtles eat pizza? Because Pizza Hut wanted to sell more pizza. And that is the honest to goodness truth. Like pizza only became synonymous with Ninja Turtles because Pizza Hut made a deal with the people that own the rights to sell more pizza. I don't know. I mean, I think they would have probably sold the same amount of pizza regardless. But for the most part, I'm doing action. I don't want pizza eating Ninja Turtles. I want the action. I want the fighting to be the forefront, not Cowabunga, dude. Which is funny that they say Cowabunga, but that's like a surfing term, and they don't surf. All right. In any case, let's get right into this shit. I remember when they first came out with the rabbit. I was so fucking pissed because I was like, like, why are they doing this to the Ninja Turtles? Like, why are they adding like all these mutants now? I liked Bebop and Rocksteady, but then when they added Yosaki Yojimbo, and I'm like, bro, what the? Like, it was like that. It was like they do with every cartoon where they run the theme into the ground. I liked Casey Jones because Casey Jones was basically a human. I don't understand the whole hockey thing, but it worked back then as a kid. We didn't really question it. But I did not like Musaki Yojimbo, which is funny because I was a big fan of like rabbit characters. Like rabbits. Like Babs and Buster Bunny, Bugs Bunny. All those characters, but I didn't like the Ninja Turtle rabbit. So what I'm basically doing now is, of course, I am going in and I am adding detail. I'm going to make the brush a little bigger. Have you been drawing lately? I love Tiny Toon Adventures. I love Animaniacs. Dude, that was like premium TV time for me when I was a kid. Like I wanted to draw like Warner Brothers when I was younger. Like that was my thing. You know, when I was younger, it's like I wanted to do comic books later on, but I was like Warner Brothers, you know, Tiny Toon Adventures, you know, like all that. But as I got older and my style matured, I started thinking more about comics and stuff like that. And I kind of like left that behind. But I've always had a love for like the design of a rabbit character, like rabbits. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it stems from like Bugs Bunny and stuff like that, but I've always liked the aesthetic of a rabbit character, which is why my character is a rabbit. I've drawn many characters, but it just seemed like the rabbit one that the iinnky is the only one that I really kept building on, kept going back to. Have you started working on your portfolio of tattoos that you would like to do? Not yet on the portfolio. Still trying to get back into drawing like I used to, just digital wise, so I can have it ready. If someone wants to get as a tattoo, listen to me. Listen. Listen. Stop waiting. Like, stop waiting. You should have been working on that yesterday. Like, not literally yesterday, but like, yeah. Bro, I'm telling you. If you're trying to wait until you get back into drawing like usual, I mean, that's honestly a reason to get back into drawing like usual. You got to really ask yourself what's really keeping you from doing it. And if there's nothing keeping you from doing it, then why aren't you doing it? That portfolio is going to change your career. And it can always be updated. You don't have to wait until you're like a great artist to do a bomb portfolio. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's more to it than that. You know, like I don't. There really shouldn't be any solid reason why you haven't drawn at least 3 or 4 tattoos that you want to tattoo on people. Unless you're not confident, and even if you're not confident, you're never going to get confident unless you do it. There isn't going to be a let me get better at tattooing or drawing, and then I'll do it. That's not going to happen. You're always going to feel like you aren't good enough. Like you can't. What I'm trying to keep you from doing is using the "I'm not ready yet" thing as an excuse. You know, as and us as people will be, oh, I'm not making excuses. But if it's not done, there's no reason why it shouldn't have been done. You've been a tattoo artist for a while. you should have already had like a bunch of drawings. A lot of people will be like, I don't have time. That's another excuse that a lot of people use. It's not, dude. You're slowing your entire career down. You gotta get on it. Like, trust me, your future self will thank you. The idea of pushing yourself to do something what it will actually do is it will start becoming a habit, and you want to form a habit of pushing yourself to do stuff that you would normally procrastinate on. I'm trying to make my own designs and I keep using, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. It's not a situation of I'm trying to. You just need to do it. Like, but the only way you're going to be able to do it is to experiment. Like, you can't wait until your brain is like, until you feel like your brain is ready to create. It doesn't happen like that. If I'm making sense, I'm probably not making any sense, but I wasn't able to draw tattoos that looked custom when I first started drawing them because I relied heavily on other people's drawings. But you take what you want from that and then you start building your own stuff. If you have to have a foundation, you know what I mean? You have to know what tattooing is before you can actually build a tattoo, if that makes sense. If you're not drawing tattoos, you don't know what you want to change and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good to go on Pinterest and just copy somebody else's stuff, but you need reference. Also, regardless, none of this stuff is going to happen if you just sit there and just wait. You know what I mean? It needs to be the forefront of what you're doing. Even if it feels like your drawings look like someone else's, draw every day until they stop looking like other people's. Because if you're waiting for, I don't know, you to get good enough to where you have your own style, you're going to get left behind. Like, again, you're not going to know you have a style until people start saying you have a style. Do you even know what you want your tattoos to look like? Like, do you know what you want them to feel like when you tattoo them? Do you know, like I have an idea of how I want my tattoos to feel. It's the same way as when I draw comic book characters, like, this shit. I know what I want it to feel like. If I don't know what I want it to feel like, then I keep looking and searching for the feeling until I hit it, and then I run with it. Just something for you to think about. You know what I mean? You got to realize that tattooing is forever changing. And imagine you finally getting your style and everything together, and now tattooing has shifted and you missed your mark. You could be making all that tattoo money right now while you're learning. If someone comes to you with an idea, you take that idea and you expand on it. So say someone wants like flowers, right? You do their little flower tattoo, but then you find a way to make bigger and better design out of that. So the next person will come in and they will see you have bigger and better flower designs. Because a lot of times what we do is we wait until people ask for stuff before we try to be innovative, I guess you can say. You know what I mean? Like, if I know people ask for roses all the time, I will practice drawing roses constantly, so that when the time comes that someone does actually ask me to draw a rose, I'll have tons and tons of roses that, well, I guess feel like how I want my roses to feel. But I didn't have that idea when I first started. I didn't have that feeling of what I wanted my stuff to look like when I first started. I had to keep working at it and figuring stuff out. Like even the reason why I'm drawing this Ninja Turtles right now is ultimately to help me with my tattooing. And most people will be like, how? It's getting me more comfortable with my hand movements. It's getting me more comfortable with making decisions in like line weight, composition. You know, so when I draw tattoos, I now have an idea of what I want my composition to look like and feel like. You know, even though I might not even be doing humans, you can do the same thing with like roses, candles, you know, like fireflies, like whatever the heck it is. Once your style starts developing, you start doing significant things to make your tattoo or pop out. And that's kind of what I want. Is I want when I draw, even with the poses that I chose now, the poses are meant to be dynamic and dramatic and jump out at you. So when you see the drawing, it's not just another Ninja Turtle drawing. It's like, holy shit, like, damn, this is actually pretty fucking cool. You know, I could have just phoned this in, right? Because it's just fucking Ninja Turtles. It's no big deal. You know what I mean? Or I could actually take the time, make it like something that people might actually give a shit about, even though it's just going to go in my little portfolio of things that I've drawn. You know what I mean? It will serve as a reminder of what I could accomplish if I put my time into it. If you ever want to get out of the situation you're in, or if you ever want to be like a driving force in your tattoo studio, you need to stop waiting and like I don't necessarily know how to say it, but stop waiting and get shit done. There's a lot of learning that is to be done in your first years of tattooing. And if you're waiting for shit to happen before you experience all of that, you're gonna get left behind. And again, everything I'm saying is just, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's based on my experience, and my experience might be completely different than what you're going through. And I'm just basically basing everything off of what I experienced when I was going through tattooing, like learning. Now, it drives me crazy if I'm just sitting there and I'm not. If I know I'm supposed to create something and I'm supposed to be doing something and I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for whatever, it drives me nuts. Hey, Hollow, how are you? Welcome. All right, I'm preaching again. I'm very adamant about certain things, like, and I preach about a lot of things because I know when I was younger, I wish someone had told me this. You know what I mean? I know it may not be something that you want to hear, or, you know, a lot of times it's just like, yeah, I get it, you know, but I definitely have to say it because I feel like if someone would have told me, or someone would have, you know, made me understand, because I was stubborn and people mentioned shit to me, but I wouldn't listen. No, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody would have made me understand the consequences of my stupidity, I would be way better off than I was. Which turtle is this? It's all four of them. But I'm actually working on Raph right now. I'm only used to drawing what I see. Yeah. I remember you saying that. But that will. So now, don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying. I get what you were telling me, and you have a point. But even if you're drawing what you see, you need to, like, okay, so, all right, I wanted to draw a Ninja Turtle picture, right? I could have went and found somebody else's Ninja Turtle picture, and I could have just drawn that. Or I could have done what I did, right? And I get it, you can't do it right now because your brain isn't, you haven't developed enough of the how do I say it? Your creative side isn't trained enough. And I get it. But you still need a portfolio full of stuff that you want to do. You know what I mean? Even if it's not that, you know, like make a list of tattoos you would kill for, like that you would kill to have a chance to do. No matter how big or small they are. Tattoos that you would kill to have a chance to do in your career. And then make that goal to get an idea that's original enough to pull it off. Because it's nothing to go and say I want to do an octopus tattoo, right? I could do an octopus tattoo, or I could do the octopus tattoo. Where I'm gonna go and look at references. There's no reason why you wouldn't go look at references. The thing is that I'm looking for techniques that I like, not poses or ideas. I will come up with how I want to draw said thing. So I want to draw an octopus, right? And I want to put it on a female's body. I've already made that decision, right? I want to put it on a female's body. So now that I have that decision, I need to figure out how I want my octopus to look. Not how I want it to look on the body, how I want it to be designed. You know, how I want the tentacles to look, how I want the overall image to look, how I want to draw it. You know what I mean? And there is a lot you can learn from looking at other people's art, because you're taking in what you like from their stuff to help you find your own path. You know, you might know how to draw an octopus, but you might like the way this person does their tentacles. So you study their tentacles and you learn how they do their tentacles, and you add that to your arsenal of things you do. You get what I'm saying? Rather than just being like, well, I like the way this person did an octopus, I'm just going to copy the whole thing. You take parts, like techniques, not pieces, not, I'm going to take the way this guy is holding this scythe. No. You take the technique, you study the technique it took for him to draw, or her to draw, whatever, you know, whatever it is you're looking at. So like if you're watching this and you're like, I want to draw Ninja Turtles, you don't want to draw my Ninja Turtles, but you like the way I draw them. So you try to figure out the technique so that you can draw the technique, but draw a different picture. I mean, if any of this makes sense. I feel like I'm not explaining it right. But regardless, none of that requires waiting. You can have 90 different ideas and none of them actually fit, but you still have 90 ideas. And now when you get the ultimate idea that you want, you have 90 variations that you can also sell. You know what I mean? Because you're going to get people that want to come in and get tattoos, and you haven't designed the ultimate one yet. But you have like 90 variations that you've attempted that people are going to like. You know what I mean? Do you have tattoo artists that you favor? If so, study their work. You know what I mean? Study how they do their, you know, like study how they draw their lines and how everything connects together. Like for instance, like study. See, this is the part about explaining that always gets me, because it's hard to articulate the words. Have I looked into an art teacher meta on YouTube. Have I looked into the art teacher? Me? Have I looked into the art teacher meta? No, not me. I would never teach. I'm like, I don't, you see how bad I am at explaining? So all these little techniques that I'm doing, like the little lighting that I'm doing right here, or the little shadow lines, to emphasize that small, that is a technique. But it's a technique to help me draw an original design. I'm not just, you know, drawing somebody else's art or whatever. I haven't looked into the teaching meta because I don't care about teaching. I'm never going to be a teacher, like not intentionally. I don't like I can explain stuff that I do or whatever, but like I will never label myself as a teacher. I don't want anybody else labeling me as a teacher because I am not a teacher. I am more of a motivator. Everybody needs that person to be like, stop wasting your damn time and get to work. Because people just, we are inherently lazy when it comes to doing stuff. And when you know you should be doing things, the first thing you do is think of an excuse as to why you're not doing it. You have to stop with the excuses and get shit done. It's basically the point of it. You know what I mean? There's no reason why you can't. You know how to draw. Yes, you don't really know how to draw stuff without seeing it. How are you ever going to get to the point where you draw stuff without seeing it unless you're actually drawing constantly? You know what I mean? It's just filling your brain up. Because what's going to end up happening is once you fill your brain up with enough knowledge of shit that you've seen, your brain starts forming its own imagery. Like just like me, like drawing these, the flow of these headbands. It's organic, but it's because I've seen headbands flowing in the wind so many fucking times. Like I don't really need it. I can draw it out of my brain. But before I had to look at artists that I loved and seeing how they did it. And then I'd be like, that's cool. And I would just study it over and over and over. I started off copying, and then I went from copying to trying to draw it myself. And then I would go back to copying, and then I would try to draw it myself. And then I would discover somebody new, and then I would copy. And eventually what ends up happening is like, if you never seem to get it, you start developing your own way of doing it. But again, all of this won't happen if you're not doing it. I have about 95 different roses that I've drawn that I keep. And I add to them every now and again. So eventually I'm going to be like at 100 and something or whatever. But the whole reason why I have them is because people ask for roses, and roses are fucking hard to draw. So what I would do is I would sit down and I would draw shitty roses until I found one, until I drew one that I actually thought was decent, and I would keep it. And I would add it to my list of, or my collection of roses, so that when people came in and they asked for roses, I would show them my rose book. And it's just a combination of shit I've seen people do, like techniques I've seen people do with roses that I liked, and how I know how to draw roses, which I didn't really know how to draw roses good at all. I just kind of developed a method of drawing roses that helped me. I started taking pictures and then studying like how the rose petals fall and all, just crazy shit that most people don't do to learn how to draw roses. And then when I learned how to draw roses, I felt good about myself because I was no longer doing what everybody else was doing, which was basically like taking from each other. That's why you have those generic ass American traditional roses floating around everywhere, which people love them, but it's time to upgrade past that, you know, the traditional BS that people love, you know what I mean, and show them a new thing to love. People don't know what they want until they see it. But everybody has drawn those same fucking traditional roses that Don Ed Hardy and all these motherfuckers have been drawing years ago. And it's like, people are wearing this already. Why would you know what I mean? But I keep trying to explain to my son is like that. My son is like my son just refuses to draw anything original. And I think it's like to spite me or whatever, but he just doesn't. He just doesn't anymore. His thing is just I'm gonna do what I want to do, and it's like okay. And like it's like he goes through great lengths he goes through this great length to keep me from seeing what he's doing, because I'm the only one that criticizes what he does because I see the potential in him. But I mean, you know, I wish somebody would have done that to me, and I think that's the whole thing. Is like I didn't have art friends, and most people either said I shouldn't be doing art and should be focusing on something else, or they just were like, "Oh my God, you're so good," and, and this and that, and just basically like basically encouraging me, but never really giving me the information that I needed to get better. Like I had a couple friends that would just give it to me straight when I was younger, and I, being a young person, would just be like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because when people would tell me everything was made up of basic shapes, same thing I tell everybody now, I was just like kind of fucking like that shit doesn't make any sense. Blah 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 blah. I was refusing to actually listen to that whole thing because I just felt like that wasn't the key. It really was. It was the key. it was literally the key for me, and I had been told a bunch of times. So of course, now when it's me relaying the information, you find yourself getting touchy when you feel like I'm trying to tell you and you're not listening, but it's like I didn't listen either. You know what I mean? It'll make sense. But you definitely need to not wait. If you're doing art, even if you're not doing tattooing and you're doing regular art, you're working on your portfolio every day. You should be. If you don't have an original character or you don't have a logo, like what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like I say this all the time because you don't want to wait until you need it. You need it now. You know what I mean? Your original logo, your first logo is always going to be like your signature or whatever the fuck, you're your first product, all that stuff. Sure, you guys have heard all this, emotional whatever before, but the thing that people don't tell you is once you get to a certain point in your art career, you stop doing stuff for yourself. Most of the stuff that you're doing is basically for other people. And that's where the truth of the matter comes in. You're learning all the stuff so that you can do better art for other people. And then you start realizing that I don't have to draw what everybody else does. I can draw literally what I want and people will buy it. I can literally print my own money. I can draw whatever tattoo I want and then people will line up and fall over each other to get it. But you always find that out at a later date because that's when you actually stop being in your own way and you start listening. When you're younger, you don't really want to. It's that whole if this is working now, I'm just gonna do this. So Raph has he has like little thingies here too. That's the other thing is I gotta pay attention to what they wear. That's like a this is like a fair example of what I was talking about earlier. If I told you I never drew Ninja Turtles before, would you believe me? Just off of what you're seeing right now, would you believe me if I said I've never drawn a Ninja Turtle before? I've seen Ninja Turtles being drawn. I've like I've idolized people that have drawn Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? Because like some people just do some cool ass poses and stuff. You know what I mean? Never attempted to draw them myself. Partly because one, when I first discovered Ninja Turtles, my skill set was not. It wasn't good enough. I couldn't pull it off. I could draw a face, but the face was very plain. You know what I mean? It's Ninja Turtle. But then as I got older, I felt like the process of drawing a Ninja Turtle was, it started feeling like it was too simple for me to do. You know, it's like, yeah, I could draw Ninja Turtles, but I could also draw Batman. Because Batman would be a lot more complicated than a Ninja Turtle. You know, and that was kind of my mentality on doing it. Like, I would always be like, you know, and plus then I started like, I wasn't really a big fan of like the new Ninja Turtles and all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't have drawn this Ninja Turtle or these Ninja Turtles if it wasn't requested by one of my chat members. And I kind of bounced back again and thought, like, I've never actually drawn one. And you get to that point where you actually have to ask yourself, can you draw one? Like you've never actually drawn one, and you have all these reasons why you haven't drawn one, but is it because you can't draw one? Maybe you should try and draw it to see if you can actually draw it. It's the ball rolling, because normally what happens is you'll draw something that you know you can't draw or you have never tried to draw before. It doesn't come out the way you want it, so then you try again later as you get better, and then later again as you get better, until you eventually draw the one that, you know, holy shit, this is it. Like, this is the ultimate Ninja Turtle drawing from me. And then you can like lay it to rest. That's kind of what I do with like a lot of the fan art that I do nowadays, because I'm not really a fan art person. But when I do draw fan art, it's just to see if I've actually gotten good enough to where I can actually pull it off. Because a lot of the stuff that I draw, I failed at drawing it a bunch of times. Not failed as in I didn't, it looked like the character and all that. It failed because it wasn't like what I wanted it to be. It was always kind of like just one of those things where it was like I drew it, but you know, there's obviously millions of people that do it better. I just want it. When I sit down and I finally figure out, you know, what I want to draw, I just want it to fit in with, you know, the originals. Well, in your apprenticeship, in your tattoo apprenticeship, your mentor is supposed to teach you the styles of tattooing, right? So you're supposed to be learning the styles of tattooing on top of learning bloodborne pathogens and all that, because every style of tattooing has something to teach you that will help you become a better tattoo artist. I had I already had tattoo artists that I was a fan of when I first started, but then I actually found ones that I got obsessed with, or I got found the one that I was obsessed with that actually helped me understand what I wanted to do with my career. Um, I'm actually surprised you don't already have that, because most people already have an artist or artists that they that they that they you know, they find their art enticing. It's more or less something for you to build on, I guess. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not a requirement. It's just always rather. It's usually it's very unusual for me to hear when people are like, I don't have a tattoo idol or whatever. Like when you watch other people tattoo, what are you watching them for? Like, are you watching them to see their technique? Are you watching them to see their ideas? You know what I mean? Because I know most tattoo artists, when they like, a lot of tattoo artists are very, they don't really like tattoo artists watching them tattoo, because they are afraid they're going to steal their technique, because tattoo artists feel like if you know what they're doing, you can steal their clients, which I always feel like if you do something so different, there's no way anybody else can steal it because it's original. But tattoo artists will be who they are. I remember I used to go to conventions, and the minute I've had this happen before, and I've had other stuff happen before where I would show tattoo artists my portfolio, and then they would like get kind of standoffish, you know. I also had tattoo artists that literally just find out you're a tattoo artist and be like, you can't stand here, like, and get the security guards to like remove you from their booth because they don't want you near. And a lot of tattoo artists don't like you to ask them questions. If you're ever at a convention, if you're not getting tattooed by a tattoo artist, never ask them about tattooing. This shit, like, for the most part, the most of them, it drives them crazy. And since you don't really necessarily know which ones like it and which ones don't, it's just a good rule of thumb to just not do it. Because that shit will quickly give you a bad rep. People don't like to share their techniques. People like to keep things under wraps for whatever reason. I'm like, take it all. I don't give a shit if you know what inks I use and how I put in shading or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it's like, my tattooing isn't based around my equipment. It's based around my art. And in the amount of effort it would take for me to teach you my art style, or for you to abduct my art style or whatever, it's just like, I don't have time to waste on that kind of shit. You know, or most tattoo artists, they are like, you have those ones that you'll run into that get really, really touchy when their clients go to another tattoo artist. They act like they own the tattoo, that they own the client. And they're like, oh, you're taking food off my family's plate. And like, bro, it's like, you don't own anybody. And the faster you learn that, I mean, this is stuff that's known, but you will get people that will literally just you would just look at them and be like, what are you thinking? What? But I mean, you know, for me, I'm always like, if I have a client go to another tattoo artist, I'm always wondering what I can do to win that client back over, or what I did to make that client leave. If I'm not available and that person goes to another tattoo artist, I wasn't available. That was my fault. And it's going to happen. You are never going to go through your entire career without upsetting some tattoo clients because of your availability. Because as you get good, you're less available. And most clients that come to you, they want to stay coming to you. But the thing is they want you to drop everything to service them. Where it doesn't work like that. But the other thing is, if you start off with a client offering them discounts, you're going to be offering them discounts forever. Because they will get extremely upset if one day you switch up and you're like, yeah, you got to pay full price. They're going to be like, why? And then more than likely, they're not going to come to you. Or if you start off giving tattoo artists free or clients free tattoos, they would much rather go pay someone else than to pay you if you've been giving it to them for free. They get so upset about that kind of shit. And they'll be like, well, now I got to pay, and then they'll just go to somebody else and pay them, and not you. That's why I'm like, don't start off tattooing people for free. If you're tattooing them, if you're tattooing them and they're not giving you money, you need to be getting something out of it. That's why they have the bartering system and shit like that. So how long have you been drawing, Rasta man? I'm always under the you got to remember I am always under the assumption that I know this isn't the case is that most tattoo artists have been artists first. And the kind of art you do in your art field is what you transfer into tattooing. But this is obviously not a thing nowadays because I get a lot of people that aren't, they are artists, but they aren't doing the kind of art that they do for tattooing. They think tattoo artists, rather, it should be different or they're doing different stuff or whatever the case it is. But like, I've learned that a lot of people aren't, their art skills aren't transferring into their tattooing because they'll get into tattooing and they literally just copy everybody else's stuff because it makes money. I don't know if this is where I want this to be. I mean, have you tried doing anime style tattoos? Like when I first started doing tattooing, of course I automatically tried to draw comic book stuff. And it was pretty much at that point that I realized that I didn't want to do comic book stuff as tattooing. I wanted the style of comic, but I didn't want the drawings. I didn't want to do comic book characters for a living as tattoo artist, which it could have made money. You know, it still can. But I was like, I don't want to be stuck. Like I felt like that felt the same as doing like baby mama names, where it's like I'm drawing other people's characters for a living on people's bodies, and yeah, they would be happy and all of that good stuff, but then I felt like I wouldn't be fulfilled. So I figured if I just focused on being a better tattoo designer, didn't matter what I was drawing, I would make everything look good. Because I would have a method in which I would build my tattoos. Same method that I would use if I was to do comics or drawings. There is a method in which I build my stuff. There is a way that I want my art to look. It favors some ways more than others, but it does, it works. So he has this belt, and I got to make sure I keep the line weight different so that when I draw this, I understand that this is part of the belt or sash that is around Raphael's waist, where he stores his scythes. See, we're still in the messy stage of the drawing, so it's going to definitely be a lot of like going back and touching areas up and reshaping, because it's still the sloppy area. I don't really know what I want to do with it yet type. See, I've seen Ninja Turtles like episodes where they wore pouches and stuff, and I kind of like that. The whole like idea of them having like, I guess, pouches on their uniforms or whatever, or on their clothing. Those pouches are kind of like the It's like flair. It's a way of making something look a lot more busy, or a lot more detailed than it actually is. All right, so I think we got enough of him done. People out here usually don't step outside the usual flowers. A person's name. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's it usually takes the artist to introduce that, but a lot of artists won't because they're like, ah, well, I mean, I'm doing good the way that I am. I don't really like. It takes an artist to want to want to hunger for something new, and not just do the same shit. A lot of artists don't. A lot of artists just really don't give two craps about it. And they're like, it's not broken, don't fix it type thing. You know what I mean? Again, I've said this before, and I don't think people really take it seriously, but clients don't know what they want until they see it. Which is why it's very easy to sell someone on something that they don't necessarily want because you're the professional. All you got to do is make it seem like if they don't take it, that their tattoo might not turn out as good as it could be, and it would be their fault. I wouldn't recommend you doing that, but people do, and it's like, it's one of them things that you have to actually, like, as a tattoo artist, you will grow to understand, and it kind of bugs you when you see other people doing it, but a lot of times clients invite that kind of behavior from tattoo artists because they're so indecisive that the tattoo artist just kind of takes it upon themselves to, like, all right, this is what you're going to get. I will ask numerous questions when I'm dealing with a client, and then they will come to the shop and then be like, no, you cannot change it. Because we had opportunities to change it. Now, of course, you don't have to get the tattoo, but there goes your deposit. You know what I mean? I'm like, you just can't. If we are going back and forth and you have all the opportunities to change your tattoo, why would you do it at the last minute? Okay. All right. All right, let's do another one. Let's do Leo. Thanks, I appreciate it. We're making our way through it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So, this is the part that I have to be careful on because this is the most expressive part of the drawing. of his part. So now I got to make sure that I don't forget, because I always do that. Like, I got to make sure I put their freaking pads. So I don't want his shell to overlap this shell. These overlap like that. I also got to remember that. So this is his shoulder. And there is a shoulder, there is a strap. It's going to come across here. Fest plate. Nice. Bum, 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 okay. So I think I'm going to go with. Do they? The turtles, Ninja Turtles, don't usually have fingernails, right? It's something weird I'm thinking about right now, but I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen them with fingernails. I mean, I know real turtles don't have fingernails, but I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody draw like detailed pictures of Ninja Turtles with fingernails. Have they? Hmm. Don't think that's what I'm going for. First things first, let me establish where this is going to go. Then I can build his body off of that because he's going to have a belt. His belt. But he has one going this way, and I think he has another one going that way. Hmm. I still feel like there's supposed to be one coming across this way. Maybe. Yep, that'll work. I don't think that's the way it's designed, but we're gonna work it like that. Yeah, I'll run with that. That looks good. All right. We're coming together. So I think what I'm going to do is this needs to be. Thinking that this is going to be, I'm going to cheat because I don't feel like drawing this leg. So we are going to make these bigger and more wild. As to cover up the area in which I don't want to draw in. Don't be like me, chat. These are gonna probably have like rips and tears in them. I'm gonna probably go back and add that when I started adding the really big detail. I just want to kind of get the composition down. Hey Earl, how you doing? I remember I used to struggle like so much on drawing like knots. And then as I got older, I just realized that like it really doesn't have to make sense. You're drawing nonsense because who the fuck really is going to pay attention to whether or not it's a real actual drawn in knot? And if there are people that actually pay that much attention, why would you care that they pay that much attention to drawn in knots? Ciao, ciao. That's better. All right. Let's see. Let's see what we're gonna do with Mr. Nunchucks over here. The pose that I use for Mr. I want to have nunchucks, I was actually going to use for Leo. And when I drew it, it just kind of looked like it wasn't gonna. I was like, that doesn't really look like a Leonardo like pose. And I did, but I liked the pose. So I was like, well, it looks like it could look like he's holding some nunchucks if I do a couple tweaks. And I tweaked it, and it looked fine. I am still, after many years, sad to admit that I still struggle with drawing chains. Does it announce that I'm streaming on like YouTube? I didn't think it sent out alerts. If it does, that's cool. I'm assuming it does, but again, I don't really know much about YouTube. all just kind of learning as we go. Yeah, see, like this is kind of what I want to do for my YouTube streams. Just kind of look in my sketch request folder, see what requests I actually want to do, and then just kind of like bang them out on YouTube. You know what I mean? But I don't want them to go too long. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be able to get on and do like some moderately short sketching. This is, of course, for people, so definitely not the ideal thing I would have wanted to do for my second stream on YouTube. But you know what? It's whatever, bro. It was a request that I actually was like, holy crap, I haven't done this before. Ever. And I'm like, why? And I'm kind of like asking myself, like, why have I never drawn Ninja Turtles? But I realized that I had got to a point where, like, I like Ninja Turtles, but I had gotten to a point in my drawing career where I kind of felt like it wouldn't be a challenge for me to draw them. Like, it would be like so many people drew them that, I don't need to draw it type. You know how people do. We make up all kinds of reasons why we can't do something or we don't need to do something. I mean, realistically, it was just more or less like I didn't want to be bothered with it, which is a very obviously childish reason. And then, because at first I was like, when I first started watching Ninja Turtles, I was a fan, but my skill set wasn't, I couldn't draw them. And then when it got to the point where I probably could draw them, I was always like, even if I pull it off, it's like, whatever, man. You know? And then it just got to the point where I was kind of like, every time I would think about it, I'm like, it's 4 turtles. I don't know if I want to draw 4, but if I'm not going to draw 4, why even bother? And I basically talked myself out of it, you know? But someone requested it, and I always say that if you request something, I will eventually draw it. And I was like, you know what? As the 100 Days of Improvement is supposed to be about me improving, one of the things that I know that I wanted to improve on was my ability to build good composition. Which one of these motherfuckers wears glasses? I forget which one wears the glasses. Is it the one with the stick? The new Ninja Turtles. I want to incorporate some of the new stuff, but not really. You know what I mean? But I think it would be cool if I put glasses on the one that wears glasses. Creative liberty. All right. I have to confess, I don't know. I know the names, but I don't know the names tied into the weapons. Only one I know is Leo, the one I like. Ah, the staff. This guy. So I'll probably end up putting glasses on him. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to draw his toes, but let's just put him there. Ooh. That's what it was. This is a. He actually has the sash because he puts his nunchucks around the back of his shit. So this will go like this. There you go. All right. Let's see. Oh, why do I always do that? Yeah. So it works. All right. All right. Yeah. Hmm. I really, really hate like doing. I don't hate doing chains, but chains are just a pain. All right. What time is it? Yep, we're about that. We're almost at that point. We'll more than likely continue this later. I need to start doing my laundry and all that good stuff you do to prepare to go back to the hourly. Do I have a favorite Ninja Turtle? Yes, I do. Leonardo. And it's ironically the only Ninja Turtle whose name I can remember in terms of weapons. But yes, Leonardo is my favorite Ninja Turtle. Yeah, I think the reason why I like Leo is because um when I first started like watching Ninja Turtles, the idea of having two katanas was just like so cool to me. You know what I mean? It's like most people, you know, samurai swords, you have one or whatever, but like, you know, like I don't know, back then it was like the symmetry of it was just kind of cool. And you know, again, this was back when I was like really young and we didn't really have characters like that. I mean, we had like superheroes and stuff, but like the Ninja Turtles just kind of came out of nowhere. When I found the book, when I looked in the book and I found the characters, I thought that their design was like super cool back then. But again, like I said, when I grew up, I kind of grew out of it. I don't really even know how to explain it. Like I kind of grew out of liking Ninja Turtles, and then when it became popular, I was just kind of like I didn't hate it. I just wasn't like obsessed with it anymore. And then I kind of like came back into it. But I've always liked the two-sword idea. I hated the Nintendo version of Ninja Turtles. It's an iconic game, and we've all played it if you grew up back then. But that shit was brutal. That shit was right up there with Battletoads. The arcade version was dope. That was like, yeah, but like that fucking the fucking Nintendo version, like, bro. I'm so glad that we have evolved to the point where if you ever do play a game that's like an arcade version, it's the same version you play at home. I couldn't wait till they came out with the arcade version at home. Because that console version that they made was just ass. especially the fucking underwater electricity level. But the cartoon was always dope to me. I mean, even though it was pretty simplistic, you know, it was very commercial, but it was like, you know, after again, like I said, the my first experience with Ninja Turtles was the D&D book when they all had the same color headbands. There was no teenage mutant attached to it. They were like anti-heroes. A lot of people don't remember that or wouldn't remember it. It just became popular when they were pizza eating, sewer dwelling, surfing, skateboard ride. Like, cause I don't know why they say cowabunga when it was definitely that's a surf thing. But again, you don't think too hard on it. I thought way too hard on it. You know what I mean? Like it's not that serious. When you're drawing characters and stuff and you start thinking about them, you're like, why does this person have this? And you know, why do they, that doesn't make any sense. But you quickly learn that shit doesn't have to make sense. It's literally just how it appeals to the crowd. Yep, the 90s movie was good. It was great for its time. It was like groundbreaking. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit, like that kind of animatronics and that kind of like action and stuff wasn't seen in movies. For a kid, that was like mind blowing because it's like, holy crap, the turtles are talking. How did they do that? You know, like, and then they do kung fu and, you know. But you're kids, you know. It's very easy to entertain. But that shit was dope. Way better than the Masters of the Universe, and the Street Fighter adaptation. Not the anime, the fucking movie. That was like hands down the worst. And then later on in life you find out that it was supposed to be a comedy. I don't think it was supposed to be a comedy. I think it was just taken as a comedy and they just ran with it. They say it was supposed to be like a comedic take on Street Fighter. I heard that. I thought it was a joke when they said they were gonna make a live action Thundercats movie, because they've been talking about it forever and it just kind of never came to be. I think it's cool that they're about to make a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. I saw the Easter egg at the end of the last movie, but like I guess now it's like official. They've started script writing and all that stuff. Oh, I'm assuming it's gonna be cheesy. The first G.I. Joe was good. I liked it. Could have done without the Wayans brother being in it or whatever, but it didn't ruin the movie. But again, I think the reason why I didn't ruin it is because I'm always looking at G.I. Joe and movies like that as they're made for children. So if they are cheesy, it's basically pandering to the audience that they're, you know, you don't really make everything that for kids like serious or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't go into the movie like, oh my God, this is going to be cinema. It's like, nah, it's supposed to be a fun movie, and it was. Didn't like the fact they killed off Duke in the second one. But, I mean, as far as the Transformers one, yeah, I'm expecting it to be like cheesy, but as long as the Transformers and the G.I. Joes look like Transformers and G.I. Joes, and they make references to my nostalgia, I'll like it. Because I've been liking the newer ones that they've come out with, the newer Transformers that they've come out with, because of the fact that they went with the older designs, which they should have done from the beginning, but, you know. I'm just happy that they're taking that into consideration. I still don't like the redesign of Megatron, but I understand it. As mad as I would like to get it, it's like you can't make Megatron a gun. It wouldn't. Ideally, it wouldn't work because, like, you know, it's just, the design just wouldn't work in movies. You know what I mean? It's like a tank is a lot easier to manage. Because even in the cartoon, when he turned into a gun, someone had to catch him and shoot him. It wasn't very practical, but I would love to see the thought behind the whole, let's make Megatron a gun, you know. And then, of course, when they went Galvatron, I think Galvatron was basically to fix a known mistake. Like, oh yeah, we can't really do toys like this. And first off, it doesn't really make any sense. It's like making Soundwave. It's like making Soundwave a boombox nowadays. It wouldn't make sense. Yeah, see, but that's the thing. It's like Mask is, for those people that remember Mask, is dope. But like Mask is kind of like one of those, like, if you got G.I. Joe, why would you really need Mask type things? Mask was dope, but you know, I mean, I don't think it would do too well nowadays. It would definitely be a nostalgia thing. Yeah, like that wouldn't really make it. Like if they did Soundwave and I forgot about Blaster, but even still, like they it doesn't. You know what I mean? Kids would be like, "What is that?" So yeah, upgrading those would be, it would make sense just for modern times. But they could at least, when they do the little characters that jump out of them, you know, like they keep the same name, like Ravage and Rumble and Laserbeak. Those are iconic characters. Hmm. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm almost done with today's session. We'll finish this or continue working on it another day. I typically don't want these to go that long. It's supposed to just be like a quick sketch session, but I decided to do 4 Ninja Turtles. So, I mean, it worked out in my favor because I actually liked what I came up with. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. It's going to be a nice piece. It's coming along quite well. But I am all drawed out for today. I'm sure I'll be touching on this off and on throughout the week. I always like draw a little bit before I go to work. And it's usually whatever I'm working on at the time, which will more than likely be this. So yeah. And then we will more than likely knock it out on our next rip. If you guys have any final questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. If you like what you see, that subscribe button. Like I said, I want to try to do more of these, but I'll probably be doing like maybe at least one a week. They're not going to be very like they're not going to be as long as my YouTube, my Twitch streams, because Twitch I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Or this is more like I want this to be more like, all right, I'm getting on, I'm about to draw this thing, and then I'm getting the hell off. All right. So this is as far as we've gotten so far. Again, we'll be working on this later. So I'm gonna call it right there. I just wanted to get the basics of it down, because what I'm gonna end up doing is going back in and like adding all the shading and shadows and all that stuff. Because right now it's just line work. It's more like the detailed line work, where I'll go back in and I'll add all the shadows and shading and everything, and like depth, like line weight is important to separate certain aspects of the drawing to make it pop out. Like this sword is going to have really thick line weight because it's meant to pop out at you. If you try to do too much at once, what ends up happening is your image starts to look like not as full as it should. Probably gonna, once I get it done, I'll probably make it a little bigger, because I don't like his knee. I'm gonna put like a bandage or something on it, just so I can kind of like make this look busier. Just to make this area look busier. Add like a bandage or something to it, with tattered, like, you know, a tattered bandage. Just to make the image look busier. Still haven't decided if I'm going to do anything with this person's knee. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. I had fun working on this. Now, for me to rest my brain, we will get back to this as soon as we can. I appreciate you guys coming out for my second YouTube stream or whatnot. I appreciate you guys keeping the conversation going and all that. Yeah, tell your friends, you know, come join us, all that good stuff. But I'm up out of here. I'll be working on this next week. If it's not finished by then, but it shouldn't be. I don't think I'm going to work on it offline that much, if any. So, yeah, we'll be finishing it up next week. You guys have a good one. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, life is a canvas. All you need is ink. You guys have a good day.